March 19th, 2024. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is how I saw the charts today. It looks like it was in the pre-market, a kind of a consolidation, a two-legged sell-off. It kind of bounced pretty much halfway. Then it opened, kind of bounced, hit a consolidation range. Then it did a very gradual rally, which had a bunch of swings in it. Another consolidation, which is this blue trading range that I had, and then a kind of a rally toward the very end. This is actually only the last 30 minutes. There was no economic data that I could find that really moved the market today. It was no trade day for me. I sat and I watched, and it was very slow trading. There wasn't that much volatility, and the volume is kind of low. I anticipate tomorrow will be a little bit more volatile because the FOMC rate decision will come out, as well as Fed Jerome Powell will provide some color. And I think everybody's expecting no change in the rates. That's where I think most of the analysts are thinking. But what they're more interested in is, I guess, the comments made by the Fed chair as well as the Fed presidents on whether they think further rate cuts or further rate increases will be warranted for the rest of the year. Now, my 2 cents is I think they're going to not change the rates for tomorrow, and then they're of course going to punt the ball forward and say they're going to decide again when the next meeting comes up. And I think it's going to go from there. Whether the market rallies or not, I think it's hard to say. I could see it going both ways because whatever news comes out, it can be interpreted in both positively and negatively. So I'm going to go through the trades right now. There weren't any trades that I took. There was probably maybe 2 trades that I thought were possible trades and a few that were more like almost trades. There were kind of like a lot of setups with signal bars that were just kind of inside bars. So that prevented me from taking a trade. I tried to be a lot more patient today, and it resulted in no trade. But I did see a couple setups, but I did get FOMO when I missed them because, to be honest, I don't think I recognized them or appreciated how the setup and context was. So I'm okay skipping those trades. Those are pre-market. Pre-market was kind of in a trading range, made 2 legs down, bounced, and came back up. At this point, before it opened, I thought we're probably going to be range bound. I checked the volume of the pre-market against the volume of the pre-market yesterday, and they were very similar. So I thought, okay, well, even though yesterday had a big rally, I thought today is definitely going to be a slow day. Kind of goes with history that I've noticed. The 2 days leading up to FOMC meeting decision, rate decision, it is kind of slow. So it moves up on this yellow channel, opens. You have first entry long. Technically, you have a second entry long here. I thought this is an almost trade. I like that it broke the green down channel, made 1 attempt down. Now it could be making a second attempt down, but it's also breaking out of this yellow channel. So I saw this as 1 leg, 1 push up, and it could still be part of the leg that's pushing up. But I also didn't like that it was an inside bar. As you can see, it's smaller than this one. It's a very small risk though, so it might have been worth a trade, but I just want to leave it alone. It was almost a trade for me. I needed to break at least above this guy. But since it's like first entry, this technically hasn't been a second entry yet. I want to see what happens next. When it flashed up like this, definitely the trade was too late for me. But if this was a stronger bar, I would have had an order ready so that this bar would open and ideally pick me up. But it was a little ambiguous. It is a small bar. EMA is kind of holding, but it's a little sideways. So fortunately, I missed this trade, but I'm okay because I said I want to wait for a higher low confirmation to trust that it's really going to push back up to test the highs of this yellow up channel. It kind of bounces around, stays within what I think is this purple down channel. It has a pretty good support on this trend line down here, somewhat pretty good support resistance right here. But there's no real setup. These are just really tiny candles, very, very tight trading. EMA is starting to push prices down or keep them down. Then it finally breaks up and above. But it hits this purple resistance. And now I'm thinking, okay, there's definitely this purple channel. There's a new high, first entry long, second entry long, but this isn't a very good signal bar. And it pushes out of the purple down channel and it starts moving up. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's reversing. So I drew this yellow up channel. This pink trading range doesn't exist yet because I didn't think I was quite in a range yet. Pushes up, it's obeying it pretty well, but there's no clean second entries. It comes up and it gets rejected and it comes back down. I saw this as a new high, first entry long. I thought this is a pretty nice potential second entry long, similar to this, except it's kind of, again, the inside bar, but now the risk is rather large because this is, actually it's only a 7-point risk, but I just didn't quite like it. I didn't like that it was inside. It closed below the EMA. Ideally, if it was above, maybe I would have considered it, but it looked like it would have worked. Kept chopping around and it starts flushing down. So at this point in real time, I thought, okay, I'm actually be in a larger range. So I drew this pink purplish range, and I saw like, okay, small leg up, big leg up, small leg back down. So I thought, okay, it's hitting the tops and hitting the bottoms. Next time it gets to the top, if there's a decent setup, good signal bar, maybe it's time to go short. So it actually doesn't make it to the top. It pulls back. It almost touches the bottom. So here, I'm a little concerned because there is kind of a triple test here, but I'm a little concerned that it didn't have enough power to get up. It's trying a second attempt, and it finally pushes up and through. There was no setup here that I found. There's technically a new low here, first entry short. Nothing here tells me to go short when you see this in real time, because here you're thinking it's going to push up to the top. When it comes back down, see a new high, first entry long. There's no second entry long here. Technically, you could count this as second entry long, a hidden one. First entry long, pulls back, breaks below, comes right back up, and engulfs this one. So you could say this is second entry long. Decent signal bar, but I just wasn't really sure where this was going to go yet. Because I also saw as a potential resistance here, because maybe my trading range isn't this high. It might have been a little bit lower. So it was a little ambiguous for me. I wasn't sure, so I had to leave it alone. Prices move up. I actually don't know why this blue line, oh, this blue line is here, yeah. I saw this as a potential, because I was playing with the idea that this could be a larger trading range from here down to here. I also saw a measured leg one up, pull back, and I was expecting potentially a second measured leg all the way up to here. Prices chop around. It gets kind of noisy in here, and I thought there was a trading range here. I saw this as another setup, but I didn't really think it was anything at the time. I saw it as a new high, first entry long pullback, second entry long. This is your entry for the second entry long. This purple up channel doesn't exist yet, so at this point I just see a yellow up channel break, the consolidation sideways. It could move back up. In order for me to trust this second entry long, which is confirmed here, I needed a stronger signal bar to get an order ready. However, when this one triggered, it went one tick below and flashed up. Now, if you're quick enough, you could probably recognize what's happening. Potentially, it's going to move back up. EMA was violated here, but it's starting to go back through. Had this candle closed above the EMA, I think I would have been more inclined to probably get a trade ready. But since it closed below the EMA, I don't have this purple line yet. I wasn't thinking there was any kind of trade here. And then when this flashed up, definitely it confirms a second entry long, creates a higher low because it went one tick below and flashed up. And it was too late for the trade because I don't want to be buying into this potential resistance. So this is a trade if you're fast enough to catch it, but I definitely wasn't. And by the time it closed, I felt the trade and the scalp was already made. Of course, you don't know it's going to keep pushing up like this because it could easily get rejected back down. Because at this point, I just want to point out, it's just making lower highs every time. So what's to say, and this was a really big candle previously too, but then it consolidated and pushed back down. So you don't know that this isn't going to do the same two candles here and come back down. It just turns out that this one happened to push up and it hits this dotted line, which is the measured move. So one leg up, consolidation, second leg up. But that doesn't mean I was ready to take a short. It breaks out of this yellow channel, makes one attempt up. It's a new high here. It's the first entry long. Technically, you have a second entry long. And I thought this is an almost trade because I needed a more bullish signal bar because you have a confirmed second entry long because this candle confirms it. But it left me a little, I guess, weary that this could still have one push down, pull up, and a second push down. So that just kind of kept me out of the trade. It's a little, I guess, ambiguous in my opinion. EMA is holding, but I just didn't like that the signal bar wasn't that good. It just didn't quite all align for me. Then prices move up. It's a little choppy. So I do see this as a potential trade here. So it's actually a new low here. It's a first entry short, pull back, second entry short. Second entry short, then it fails. So it moves two ticks below. So from here, two ticks below, and strongly reverses and engulfs this candle. So I thought this is a possible trade. I also did have this trend line drawn kind of in the middle of this trade, this candle forming. So I can't give credit that I said I had this and treat it as another key entry point because I didn't have this uptrend drawn yet. But now that I see it, yes, if I wanted to take this trade, I think I needed this to close a little more bullish. It could still be red, but ideally not so much like such a strong all the way at the bottom red. Then I might have taken out an engulfing, but my concern would have been if I have enough room to scalp out. But if I had the purple up channel or uptrend drawn, then I might have considered, okay, look, it's making higher lows. So maybe there's enough power to push up, especially after the close. But after the close, yeah, definitely felt like it's too late. And of course, then it moves up even higher. So it's a possible trade, but I missed it. Push up, it kind of breaks out of this green channel, pushes up, and it kind of goes along this consolidation yellow channel. Initially, this purple trend channel resistance was actually lower down here, and I treated it as an overshoot, but it dwelled for so long out here that I actually dragged it a little bit higher. And when I put it about right there, it looked like the midline could have been the first channel, and then the top is the second channel, or a part of the bigger channel, but there's still no setup that I could find or clean setup that I felt safe with. It confirms the top of the purple up channel, makes first entry long, pull back. It creates a second entry long. So here it broke out of this yellow down channel. It hit the top, and I'm expecting it to come back down to this side. So I actually saw this, but I didn't react fast enough. I was kind of over analyzing it, but in this case, I felt okay just kind of taking my time to figure this out because it wasn't obvious to me. So it's a new high, first entry long, pullback, second entry long. You have a confirmed second entry long. You also have a new low, first entry short, possible second entry short. Now, I didn't really have this drawn as a trading range this high up. It's actually a little bit lower here, so that could potentially be a failed breakout. So definitely when I saw this, I'm thinking more likely it might push up. Is it going to make a corresponding matching breakthrough here? But I was thinking more likely it's going to go up, but I don't want to bet on it because I don't trust this as a trading range just yet. And I'm fighting against the possibility that it hit the tops here. So I'm expecting another touchdown here. We would break for one push down of this yellow down channel, another push down. So heck, I can make a case for both things happening, going long or short. So I had to wait and see. So here, it creates this matching mirror bar, but it actually ticked one below. So it's actually a new low, first entry short, second entry short. Now this technically is a first entry long, second entry long failure. This is a potential failure, potential trade here. EMA looks like it's starting to hold prices down, and there is just enough room to get to the purple. I felt this might have been a little more aggressive, so I wasn't quite ready, so I just wanted to see what happens, thinking it's probably going to go down now. It actually does go down. It looked like you would have had just enough to get a scalp. It looks like it's about two points, but it felt dicey for sure. And it looks like if you were late on the entry or you got slippage, there's a good chance you would have gotten stopped out. So I'm okay with skipping that trade. So at this point, I saw this kind of a long dwell. I dragged this trading range down to here. And I was watching. The top resistance is holding pretty well. It needs a new high here. It's a first entry long pullback. Technically, I have a second entry long, but that's not a good convincing signal bar to go long. Kind of pushes up. I see this as a new high, first entry long, pullback, second entry long here. Also a new low, first entry short, second entry short. Second entry short has also failed here. Now, I was thinking I'm in a trading range, so I was playing the idea that I should be playing range rules. And range rules are saying, okay, you don't quite look for second entries, but I also always just kind of look for them if they can help reinforce a trade I'm already thinking of, even though I'm playing range rules. And it went from the bottom to the top, and now it's coming back down. It looked like it's failing, but intuitively, I'm thinking it's going from bottom to top, back to bottom, back to top. Here, I'm thinking at least it might want to come back to the bottom. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. You could make the argument it's bouncing off the midline if you trust that you have drawn your trading range correctly. That, okay, there's actually some validity to treat this with some kind of respect. I wasn't sure, so I definitely had to leave it alone. I felt this more like an almost trade. Then it flashes up, hits the top. Now I'm thinking, okay, made two attempts up. For sure, it probably wants to come back down here. I was debating whether the purple channel's still in play because it still wants to test its high. It broke out, maybe it's going to come back up and test this high, but it was again a little confusing. Pushes up, and it just barely makes a high, but it's kind of coming back into range. So I'm thinking, okay, it's back into range rules. You technically have a localized new high here, say first entry long. You also have a new low, first entry short, second entry short. Then you technically have a second entry long here, but it's too far from the setup now. And it wasn't low enough to the trading range bottom. Ideally, this whole setup would have pushed down lower, bounced a few times, and if this setup here was down here, I would have been more inclined to get a trade ready, but it was just too far away. So if it flashes down, I see this as a fail breakout. It's going down this yellow down channel, breaks out of the yellow down channel, has a green channel up. So right now, the yellow down channel wants to test this new low, breaks out. Up channel wants to also test its new high. So this yellow green channel wants to test the high. This yellow channel wants to test the low. It's potentially had a fail breakout moving back into range. So it's one going down and this one wants to go up and the fail breakout says it wants to go up again. So I'm leaning more going bullish. But if you look at the timestamp, it's already only 30 minutes left of the day. And this entire day, I haven't taken a single trade because things just didn't look right. But I said, okay, well, I'm not going to be ambitious. This has to be a really nice bulletproof setup. This next candle has to tick above and be solidly green for me to even consider taking a trade. So it creates this matching mirror image, but opposite candle. And that makes me take a pause because it also has a triple top right here, this tiny triple top right here. That makes me think, okay, maybe it's not going to go long anymore. I have to be cautious. Flashes down. I definitely don't like what I see here, but I did see this new high. It's a first entry long. Now here's a hidden second entry long. So it's a new low, first entry short, pullback, second entry short. It creates a first entry long, potential second entry long, and a potential failure of the second entry short. Now it all depends on what happens on this next candle. And I thought maybe there's a trade here, but again, it's already too late. After seeing this, I think if it wasn't so late in the day and I was just going to end the day with no trade, I would have put my entry pretty much at the highs of this candle, hoping this next candle would pick me up and flash up, move back into range. But even if I tried to take this trade, as you can see, it just kind of skipped past me. It just went and didn't come back. But then, so here, I would have canceled the order. Here, if I hung around too long, it would have picked me up, probably given me a scalp. But this, I would definitely have canceled it by then when I see this because the trade's already been made. And then here, I'd just be really happy that it didn't stick around because I don't know what this is going to do. It just gets choppy. And it moves into the last 30 minutes, kind of follows this orange up channel, and it fits somewhat this top of this channel, but it's just not a very clean, tight-fitting channel. There's too much bearish bias here, too much bullish bias here. It's hard to tell, and then it kind of moves into the close. So overall, it was a kind of a slow day. It didn't create as many setups as I'd like. I'd hope for a little bit more setups, and the setups that I thought were possible trades, they weren't, I guess, clean and clear for me to feel comfortable, probably due to my trading experience. So perhaps if more aggressive traders were out there saw it, they thought it might have been good enough. But for me, it just wasn't quite there, and I'm okay with that because I already knew going into today, as a result of yesterday, it was probably going to be a slow, grinding day. That's kind of what it was. So hopefully that was helpful.